she's fun. She's fun. She's caring. She cares a lot about her employees. Christina's a great leader. She'll jump in there and she'll show you how to do something. She doesn't just tell you.
Christina expects a lot. She's very stern with her things, proper procedure with everything, no excuses. She has a big heart, I will say, has a lot of love for the customers along with the employees. She takes care of us. It's a lot different than other places I've worked. And she's very energetic and also keeps these spirits up.
I love working here. Christina is an amazing boss to have. It's all very good vibes, positivity, and I've grown to love them. I didn't think that I would find another Sonic would be my home, but I definitely have. This is my home. I spend more time here than anywhere else.
I love Christina. She's just, I don't know how to describe her. She's just Christina, like she's just her. Every time I walk in, she's always, hey Ava, like how are you? Like let's get ready to work. And I love that she's always encouraging towards me and just really just there for me in every way, just always.
Christina has taught me how to really care about her people and how to let them grow and watch them succeed.
Things that Christina has done to help me personally or professionally, really both. Before I came here, I was in a really complacent, kind of stagnant area, and I got here and my learning kind of started all over again. She kind of showed me that learning never stops, and that you can continue to grow no matter how old you are or where you're at in life.
Honestly, Christina is a great boss. She really pushes me to have inspirations and goals every day. There's some days that she comes in and she gives us a little pep talk and gets us to understand like, hey, this is the day that we want to have. Let's figure out a way to get there. She's really inspired me to move up and work hard every day. I enjoy working for her.
Christina oh my gosh, she's wonderful actually. She's she's a leader. She really is. She takes control. She's really wonderful. She's flexible. She's dependable. She listens to you. You know what I mean? It's pretty good.
Christina's biggest strengths would be not taking excuses, having a big heart, perseverance, how to talk to people, and it just goes, all of that coincides and makes it to where she's a great leader.
What Christina has taught me would fall under what she's helped me with personally, is setting goals for myself and learning to be a leader. Christina has taught me I'm more than what I gave myself credit for. She helped me be a better person.
3 words that best describe Christina: passionate, persistent, and personable.
She works hard. She's very self-driven and motivated. She knows how to create tasks and who needs to get them done in the way that it needs to work so that everything goes smoothly. And I think that's really great to have as well. She's just a great person.
She's a multitasker. She's very personable, but she's a multitasker and she knows where to put her people. You know what I mean? She puts her aces in their places, that's what she says.
I love you so much, Christina. I am so thankful that Dylan sent me to you and you hired me. You were the saving grace that I desperately needed, and you believed in me when others may not have, and have helped me grow in ways that I didn't even think were possible. And I will forever be grateful for you.
And please welcome to the stage, Christina Mansfield.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christina. If you come to my drive-in, my team calls me by many silly nicknames, Tina or Mansfield. Some even call me Mom. For the past 5 years, I've been beyond blessed to operate one of our stores in a small town called Cabot, just outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. Standing up on this stage is a huge challenge for me. As rewarding as this accomplishment is, I really struggled writing this speech. Public speaking has always been one of my greatest struggles throughout my life. What I mean is, I literally dropped out of college my second time around because I couldn't pass speech class. How was I going to get through telling my story in front of 400 of you if I couldn't speak on a simple topic in front of 30 peers in college? Thinking back on previous conventions, the people who stood on this stage were my mentors. They all radiated success. For me, the part of my story that is written is not about my success, it's more about my struggles, and I have a lot to share with you. I started my career at D.L. Rogers as a 36-year-old. My previous experience mainly revolved around managing full-service restaurants. My only experience in fast food was as a general manager for Burger King 5 years beforehand. When I interviewed with D.L. Rogers, I noticed how invested the supervisors were, and I saw their passion in what they do. Lonnie Shear and John McCutcheon met with me and shared with me their stories addressing my doubts. It seemed too good to be true, so I almost didn't pursue the position. But I trusted them, so I took a leap of faith into this new journey. Lonnie had offered me the position that I had no clue would turn around to be the best decision I'd ever made. But it didn't start out smooth. At the time, Cabot was one of the oldest stores we had. When I say old, I mean old. It was built in the late 70s, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty positive had received very little, if any, remodeling to the original structure. Jim and John both explained that they were actively looking for new property to rebuild. That was an added bonus, but little did I know it would be 5 years in the making. Of course, like any eager person coming out of training, I walked in and peeked around a corner here and a corner over there and walked back out and said, absolutely, yes, I'm in. 3 days later, I signed my name on the dotted line. I was now a new proud member of the DLR family. I was so excited. I don't think I heard one word that come out of John's mouth when he was explaining everything. And as any new partner, I didn't exactly realize what I had signed up for. I recall one of the things John and I discussed when I first signed on. He said, Mansfield, right now this store needs someone to be here 14, 15, maybe even 16 hours a day. To be honest, I was raised in somewhat of poverty, and my brothers and I learned at a very young age we had to work hard for what we needed. When I turned 15, I became a car hop at Sonic for the summer. Little did I know that 20 years later, I would be back operating one. My parents were only able to provide the necessities of food, clothing, and shelter. Everything else I worked for. From a very young age, this built my work ethic, which I thought spoke for itself. I was working 96 plus hours a week. Working those hours didn't bother me at first, but working the hours and still not making much difference was hard. I had 4 or 5 managers at the time who could work, but I soon realized they knew nothing about management other than running a shift. I was doing it all. During all of this, my family could only see the amount of time I was putting in and how it separated me from my child who missed me. My son was only 6 years old. It had always been just me and him. My schedule changed from seeing him every night to not seeing him at all except while he was sleeping. This was extremely hard on him and my parents since they were the one caring for him in my absence. My dad told me that Sonic was a job that required too much of my time and that my son needed me now and I needed to quit putting him on the back burner. I'll never forget that day. It was like he was telling me I had to choose either my career or my son, and I couldn't understand why he didn't see I could have both. Over the next years, things didn't change much for me. I struggled with stats, and frankly, I just struggled with life. Late tickets and criticals were off the charts, complaints were getting better, but everything else was still hit or miss. Even when I took a day off, I was taking schedules home to complete them on the only personal time I had for myself. Plus, my phone never stopped ringing. I decided I needed to move to Cabot. I thought if I could save an hour of driving each day, I might find a little extra time in my day for my son Tatum, work tasks, or even sleep. If I hadn't learned to cope and handle my struggles over the years, I wouldn't have accomplished any of the things that has led to some of my success today as a partner. I battle my struggles daily. I often laid in bed at night brainstorming ideas of what to do that would help my store break the cycle of being mediocre. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be someone who was valued and looked up to, but no matter how hard I tried, I just wasn't getting there. At this point, I knew what it took to be a partner. I had the will and determination to work and do whatever I needed. I just wasn't coming up with the right things to make it flow. I was talking with John one afternoon while we did my business review and discussing with him about things that seemed to be holding me back. He just looked at me and said, Mansfield, never let your circumstances determine your outcome. Talk about a powerful statement that has stuck with me to this day. It was then I thought I was done making excuses and started to work on my struggles one at a time. I started with complaints. We had 2 restaurant review pages for Cabot on Facebook. Sonic made the post quite often. When I took over Cabot, we were known as the worst Sonic in town. Cabot people could be brutal with their words, and the post would get comment after comment. Up to this point, I wasn't confident enough in myself to respond to the post, but I decided I had to put my doubts aside and started responding to the comments. I came up with a generic post that had my cell number included, and I would post on each response, and slowly I started seeing that was helping. Over time, my complaints went from having multiple monthly to having very few, and some months, none. Next, we started to work on shops. We always used to struggle with checkbacks on shops, so I bought a timer with 4 timers on it. I established timers for a smile tray, lot sweep, hand wash, and sanitizer bucket, so we never forgot to do these things. Speed was hit and miss with shops. We struggled with speed more than anything at this point. I developed what we call the on-deck system. I'm a baseball mom. Some of the things I do at work come from techniques or systems in place with sports. The first time I said scanner on deck, they all looked at me like, what is this chick talking about? But now it's just how we operate. When a car hop scans, they call out for a scanner on deck. That helped to drop our tray speed drastically. At the end of my first convention in 2016, I learned my supervisor, John, was moving back to the Carolinas to be closer to home. It was a huge shock. I couldn't imagine working under anyone other than John. He was the type of supervisor that didn't want us to be just an owner. He wanted us to think and act like an owner. He pushed us to be operators. Most any time we had a question, he pulled the old trick to answer a question with a question and make us think for ourselves. John's method taught us the owner mentality. He was my mentor, a motivator. He was family. Whomever would be replacing him would have big shoes to fill. When I first met our new supervisor, Jessie, she was quiet and just listened to what we had to say. She took notes and asked a lot of questions. Initially, I was concerned she would have trouble filling John's shoes. What I learned was she might be little and she might be quiet, but we all soon found out she was a beast. She stepped in and picked right up where John left off. It was impressive. That year, my team and I went to the Dr. Pepper Sonic Games, and we started the process of building a new store next door, or so we thought. She had 7 years, 7 stores, and shortly after took on an 8th, and this woman never missed a beat. She brought back some spark in me that made me want to be better than I had been. The one thing I observed about Jessie was she let us do things our way. If she saw it wasn't working for the better of the store, she then suggested a way she had done it when she was partner and said, let's try it, and if it doesn't work, we can switch it back. Some things I liked and rolled with, and some things I didn't like and refused. You could say I was stubborn, still am just a little. But with her mentorship, I learned to use what worked and let go of what didn't. After a year living in Cabot, my son switched from tackle football to flag football. The parents of the flag football kids used an app called GroupMe. For over 2 years at Sonic, I text my team in groups of 10 their schedules and messages about information they needed to know, and all the while there were people in the world developing apps for communication among a broader spectrum to take place, and I was clueless. That was when I realized I needed to start keeping up with the times. GroupMe forever changed the communication in my drive-in. I instantly developed a Sonic GroupMe and had all my team members in one thread. Finally, it was genius. Once I got the team set up in the app, it was so much easier to communicate a single message store-wide. My kids use it as a group chat sometimes, so I had to remind them it was work use only and keep them on track, but this was such an amazing tool. I started posting fan track scores, mystery shops, complaints, compliments, you name it, I posted it. My team instantly took this, and I started to notice since they were getting all the information they needed to know, they started working on things we would miss. One of the things Jessie preached was speed, and speed was our biggest challenge. At this point in time, I had hired on a new few faces, and they were helping the drive-in get better across the board. Jessie was doing speed evals and would take us partners in groups to other stores, and we would evaluate things taking place in the store that helped us and hurt us. Doing this opened my eyes to several things I had done over the years and just wasn't helping us. The construction on the new store had come to a halt. There continued to be setbacks throughout the building process of the new location, so I had to stop waiting for the new store to be finished to become a better partner. At one of my business reviews, I told Jessie I wanted to be that partner, the type of partner that put Cabot on the map, and I needed her to not hold back and tell me what I was doing wrong so I could fix it. Right then and there, she told me I needed to stop making excuses, that if I would keep an open mind and stop blocking things that were possible, I would start seeing change. Easier said than done, right? But she was and is successful for a reason. And if I wanted to be anything like top performers in our system, I needed to switch gears. I realized I had to teach my managers how to do things instead of doing it for them. Over time, I had shown each of them how to do main things. I had learned how to empower my team, which in the long run helped to take some things off my plate. As managers, we sometimes feel like we are helping by doing things ourselves, such as bill pay or completing truck orders. We think it's easier to simply do it, but in the long run, it really hurts us and disables our teams from being as effective as possible. In August of 2018, things changed dramatically. One day, in walks Diana and Debbie. They offered my co-manager to take over the Landers location in Sherwood. As excited as I was for him to get this opportunity, I was also slightly nervous for myself. He was my go-to. I didn't have anyone else in the store as well trained as he was. I had a new store underway next door, micros being installed, and school was about to start, which meant sales were about to increase. I had no other manager in my store to take my co-manager's place. Here was reality slapping me in the face again, telling me to look in the mirror and stop being the reason I kept finding myself in these situations. That night, I did a little self-reflecting, and I realized I was being just like my old supervisors at Burger King. I was the reason I had multiple managers who had not completed their checklist. I was the one holding them back from developing them into great managers. That was the moment when you know as a partner it's time to change. I decided I would help my managers to be the best they could be, not for my benefit, but for theirs. I committed myself to train and develop them into operators, so when their opportunity came, nothing would hold them back. So I switched gears. I started to release the reins and gave my operators freedom. Freedom to fail, freedom to learn, grow, and succeed. I stopped being in control of every little detail and started to teach my managers how to do truck orders, inventory, admin, and schedules. And before I knew it, my life started to transform into easier days. I no longer worked 70+ hours a week. I was able to attend my son's games and not worry the store was falling apart in my absence. Unlike many partners, I was excited for micros and embraced it. Micros helped us better control our food costs. It helped us increase sales by blocking out the double discounting and having more access to find employee theft. It also helped us with speed because we had multiple screens versus everything being on the same screen. One area we really started to focus on was ticket times. We wanted to reduce our critically ticket count, but had never been successful at this. Jessie helped to switch up our way of thinking. She told us to stop focusing on critically late tickets and start focusing on late tickets. If we reduced late tickets, naturally critically late tickets would drop, and it did. Once we figured that out, the whole team started becoming engaged in no late tickets. This is when I started to see critically late tickets at an all-time low for us. Fan track was holding steady at green, shop scores were increasing, labor and food costs were better than they had been, and before I knew it, my team and I were turning red KPIs into yellow and yellow KPIs into green. I started setting new goals for myself and my team to be even better. We were going for all green. I remember looking out that window every day and seeing the new store next door. I couldn't wait for those doors to open. Over the next several months, my managers and I continued to develop our team. I had 37 solid team members. I also began adding to my management team from outside of Sonic. I hired a manager from another full-service concept and brought in a manager from another Sonic franchise that I eventually promoted to be my co-manager and filled that position. They both come in eager and ready to learn and adapted extremely well to our DLR standards. I also really pushed two of my strongest assistants to be better operators. We focused on the small details that help mold them into solid operators they are today. Each shift, you could see just how much they absorbed and continued to grow. They were extremely eager and started taking on more tasks and working their checklists, setting their own goals to become co-managers. Others took notice, and soon I had multiple team members interested in becoming managers. In a very short time frame, I went from having a select few on my management team that only knew how to run shift to developing a full management team that were trained. When 2019 rolled around, we kept on pushing through while we waited for the new store. We were doing better than I had in all 5 years working with Sonic. I was feeling very confident about my team and the direction we were going. I finally had developed my own murderer's row. I had my own Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and other talented players on my team. I later realized it was God's plan. It all happened as it should, when it should. It was almost a full year later when we finally opened the doors at the new location. It seemed like there were so many hiccups in the road getting to this point, and it was finally happening. We are still seeing upwards of 40 to 50% sales increase, and the crazy thing is, as I write this, we are still under construction. The playground and volleyball court are still underway. What do you know? Weather is still holding up construction. What I do know is when the final phase of construction is complete, I can only imagine the success it will bring. It's very exciting. During those years of construction, it was a waiting game. What I realized after the doors finally opened, it was a waiting game that I could not have been more blessed to have been given. Looking back, we were given 3 years from the time we bought the property till the day we opened the doors. In those 3 years, I personally grew and developed into a stronger leader. My team had the opportunity to fail and succeed. We as managers had the opportunity to coach our team to be one of the best. We struggled, we survived. We worked through some major obstacles and we come out on the other side so much stronger from it. Had we opened the doors based on the original plan, I feel we would have struggled. My team was nowhere near as strong as it is today. We had lots of learning and developing to do. Although we wanted to open the doors sooner, we were beyond blessed it took as long as it did to allow us the time to maximize our potential for success. I couldn't have had a better supervisor than Jessie, who put up with my stubbornness, helping mold me into a much better leader and stood by my side, getting me along the way. From sunup to sundown, she did whatever was needed to open those doors, and in the meantime, she still maintained being there for her other 5 partners with their needs at their stores. She is truly a superwoman. I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, since I'm sitting on this stage, I have it all figured out and my days of struggles are over. In a perfect world, that may be the case, but I work at Sonic. Shift happens every day. There are days I walk in and from the start, I hear how the close last night was awful and my opener didn't have time to cook enough bacon and make it through breakfast, or the opening manager and car hop can't hold a conversation without leading to an argument. These being just a couple examples of things we all experience. I wish I had the answers on how to fix everything, but what I have learned over the years is communication is key. How we communicate is most important. I come from broken systems, companies who don't necessarily care about the people, it's more about the numbers. I can honestly say, since I've been with the DLR family, James, Jim, Debbie, John, and Jesse, you have all preached it really is about our culture that we develop in our drive-ins. This is the first organization I've worked for that not only preaches culture in people, but lives by it. It took me a long time to believe in the system, to believe it works. I had never worked for anyone who wanted to make sure I was taken care of as much as DLR, that I had the tools and support I needed. It's about what is best for our team and what is best for our brand. The best mentors in life had taught me if I wanted people to follow me, I needed to learn to be a servant leader, not just a manager. The key to that was showing up, being there for them, working alongside my team and building them trust, giving them the tools they needed to be able to succeed. Looking back to when I first signed on, one of the main reasons I feared success was because I feared failing more. Until I worked for DLR, no one truly ever believed in me, myself included. I was afraid to fail. Over the years, I have learned that my failures have made me who I am today. Even to this day, Jesse still reminds me, if I don't let my team fail, they will never know how to succeed. When James asked me to do this speech, he asked me what my goals were. I told him I was giving myself 6 months to get back to normal and operate at the level I was operating at the old store. If I didn't believe in the system, this would not have been possible. But let's talk about 2020. I think we can all agree that 2020 was the most chaotic run we have worked for DLRers. Many of us faced staffing shortages, huge crew changes, and training barriers. These were significant challenges that we had to fight through while keeping up with a large surge in sales. Sometimes large challenges required new goals to realign and build the team back up. We needed more speed again to keep up with the sales increase. I began brainstorming and remember back to my days working in catering when we used a heating holding cabinet, which is what we call our hot box. I presented this idea to Jesse to utilize for event days and for our bike squad and order ahead orders on a daily basis. She agreed that it would work and a good idea to try, and we ordered it and it has worked great. It keeps our order aheads hot until the guests arrive and holds a large amount of product for event days, allowing us to increase our speed by having as much possible ready for when the guests arrive. This improvement in our productivity allowed us to come up with ways to push for even more sales, knowing that we could deliver. We implemented a suggested selling contest to increase the check average as an area, and as an area, we purchased yard signs to have on the lot to drive more sales for event days. Just as we thought we had maxed out in sales volume, we learned that possibilities are endless and opportunities are always out there. We were able to work together to overcome these obstacles because of the culture we had developed as a team inside our drive-in. Now, in March of 2021, we are having a record-breaking month. I can only imagine what the rest of the year holds for us if we continue to work and grow together. I'm so grateful for the team I have. I have been blessed to work under some of the most inspiring leaders in our organization these past 5 years. Jim and Debbie, you both inspired me to want to be one of the best. Even when I didn't believe in myself, you helped me understand we can all take ourselves to another level of success. John, you taught me to be an owner. You took what used to be a broken, insecure individual and helped me develop a business mindset that set me up for my future success. Jesse, I don't think I have all the words to help describe what you have done for me. While John taught me the business side of my responsibilities, you taught me how to build a team around me. You helped break my mindset of that broken system and show me that believing in our system would only make me stronger. You have guided me to better ways, and most of all, you have helped me become a strong leader, a leader that people will follow. You helped me believe in myself when I didn't think that was possible so that I could operate like an owner. I often think back to the day when my dad told me that Sonic took too much of my time away from my son. Although that disappointed me, it also drove me to want to be that much more successful. It made developing my team that much more important for my teammates and especially my family. One of the greatest moments was my dad telling me how proud he was to see all I have accomplished over the past 5 years. I knew it was his way of telling me he finally saw what I could become working for the DLR organization. I have never felt more successful as a mom, daughter, and businesswoman. I've had the best of both worlds working side by side with John and Jesse, and I'm grateful for our time working together. Jim, Debbie, Jesse, John, thank you for investing your time and providing me with wisdom, the tools needed, and the knowledge you have learned throughout these years. I also want to say how grateful I am to Daryl and the DLR organization for rebuilding Cabot and believing in me to operate it. Ultimately, Daryl, you are the reason I have a new store and this amazing opportunity I have been blessed with today. Thank you. If there is anything I hope you all take from my store today, it's to believe in yourself and believe in your people. Give your people the ability to fail and the tools to succeed. Embrace your struggles. Struggles are goals that require much effort to accomplish or achieve. My struggles are the path to my success. To think I almost let this opportunity pass me by. Thank you for letting me share my story.